Okay, so I'm going to run you through the entire process of Kreo Takeoff, and it really shouldn't take too long. So we start by logging in, and you are brought to your project homepage. So we click to create a project over here in the top right. We can give it a name, and we select a BIM file. So I already have one saved in here. So here you can see the simple three-stage process that we have here in Kreo Takeoff. We start off with a 3D view. As Magomed said, a really important aspect of our software is this ability to collaborate with each other on a single platform. So we have an inbuilt messaging platform where we can leave comments on certain parts of the building. We can say, what about this? Okay, and you can send requests for further information, and your team can all view this on a single platform. And of course, given the fact that we are a cloud-based software, this allows you to access a BIM model and view it and share it online without having to download Revit or any other BIM authoring software. So once we're happy with this, we can go into the validation stage. So here, we call this the model check stage. So we look to see if your model has any buildability issues or issues that may affect your quantity takeoff. So we can see that this model has a total of 419 issues. The issues are listed here according to their Revit elements IDs, and we can select a certain one, and we can see the issue here is that the elements are intersecting with each other. So we can see the specific element IDs that are intersecting with each other here. And of course, intersections within a model, within that intersected area, we are accounting for that material twice. So of course, when we're trying to do accurate quantity takeoff, this is something we really want to avoid. And Kreo we've developed a plugin that can fix some simple buildability issues, but we also have an issue list here for some of the more complex issues, which you will have to go back into Revit to fix, but we suggest the way that you fix them. So once you're happy with the model check, you will then click approve and move through to the next step, which is our classification step. And within this step, we're just wanting to ensure that we have classified every element within the BIM model correctly, because of course, this will then affect the quantity takeoff. And not only do we want to make sure the BIM elements are correctly classified, we want to make sure that their construction method is correctly classified. So customers have often told us that they receive a BIM model with insufficient detail or things not classified correctly. So Kreo has developed the platform for you to be able to edit this yourself and to be able to quickly assign the correct classification. So for example, in this model, let me just zoom out a little bit here. If we were to focus in on the structural foundations, for example, we can see all of our displacement piles here, and Kreo has automatically separated these into families according to their length. So we have 3 different lengths. We have the 9-meter long displacement piles, the 12-meter long displacement piles, and the 15-meter long displacement piles. So I can go into my 12-meter long displacement piles and change the classification that they have. So for example, if I went in here to change this to precast concrete instead of in situ concrete, we'd of course expect our quantity takeoff to change, because in situ concrete will be measured volumetrically using meters cubed. Our precast concrete will be measured according to extrusion length in meters and in the number of elements that we have. So I have now changed this from in situ concrete to precast. I'm going to save that for this family of elements. And now I can also copy the classification that I've applied to the 12-meter long piles, and I can select the 9-meter and 15-meter and paste that classification that I've just created into there. So you can see very quickly for almost 200 elements that we have there, we can really quickly classify them correctly And again, this is all down to the time-saving element that we're trying to install with Kreo. So within this classification feature, we also separate different disciplines. So we would have architecture, structure, and MEP. This model only contains architecture and structure, but again, we federate models. The majority of other takeoff tools on the market will require that you do quantity takeoff on each separate model. So you would have to do the takeoff on your architectural model, structural model, MEP model, then do the manual laborious addition of adding these all together. And the idea of Kreo is to have this all centralized in one place and making the work easier for you. So once we're happy with the classification step, we can click approve. And you'll see this starts to load here. And just like that, all of our quantity takeoff has been done. So you can see that we split quantity takeoff into multiple different extractor functions. So we aren't just measuring simple units. We've got the vertical surface area, volume, widest area. There's a lot of different measurements that we can take off for you. And these measurements are displayed here in our extractor functions description. So we can do your quantities, volumes, widest area, extrusion length. And this document here explains how we come, what things we can measure for and how we do so. Okay, so here, if we're looking at the structural columns, we can see two values here. So we have the 250 by 250 value. This represents the Revit property values. And Kreo has its own geometric measuring system that measures the actual values within in the BIM model as opposed to the Revit properties. And you can see our values come in underneath here. So the 700 by 250 by 250 is the Kreo values. And again, as we look at the displacement piles, you can see we separate the takeoff based on the different families of elements that we have within there. So this is not simply a reading for all of your displacement piles. We've split them because we have groups of 12 displacement piles that are 12 meters long. We have some that are 9 meters long and some that are 15 meters long. And we provide the extensive takeoff for all of these grouped into their individual families. So once we have all of these values, we can export them to Excel. So the full quantity takeoff is done here in Excel. And you can see all of the figures here. We currently we show reports of quantities based on Revit elements, but we can also show this according to the new rules of measurement, so NRM1 here.
Just one comment for US audience, NRM1 is the closest equivalent to uniformat.
Thank you. So just finally, before I finish the demo here, this was our project page. So here's the test of the project we have just done. We can also play with the people that we invite to the platform. So I can invite colleagues, I can invite guests, I can invite subcontractors all to view and collaborate on the same project. I can edit the permissions that each of these have. So you may want them simply just to be able to view pieces of the software. You may want them to actually have editing rights to different parts of the software. You can play with all of the roles and permissions within this tool. And Kreo also provides a full activity log of every change that was made. So this is a really useful thing for your own team purposes to see who made what changes when. So that concludes the demo.